The Empire came without warning. Their ship was huge, bigger than anything humans had ever made. It hovered above Earth like a dark cloud, silent but full of threat. The message they sent was clear: submit or be destroyed. Governments scrambled to respond. Meetings were held all over the world. Some leaders wanted to give in to save lives. Others wanted to fight, but no one knew what to do against such power. In a small apartment in Texas, Daniel Cruz watched the news with his arms crossed. He used to be a Marine, but now he worked as a security guard. He didn't like what he saw. He grabbed his phone, turned on the camera, and started recording. He spoke straight to the screen. "We've been through worse," he said. "Wars, plagues, disasters. We didn't fall then, and we won't fall now." He paused, looked into the lens. "If they want us to kneel, we'll show them how we burn stars instead." He posted the video online. Within hours, it went viral. People liked what he said. Schools played it. Soldiers shared it. Protesters chanted his words in the streets. "We burn stars before we bend knees." Pressure built on the United Nations. Finally, they responded to the Empire's demand. The message was short and clear. Earth does not bow. The Empire did not expect that. Within days, their ships returned. This time, they opened fire. Beams of energy struck cities from orbit. Explosions lit up the sky. Panic spread across the planet. But something else happened too. Missiles launched from hidden silos. Drones filled the skies. Railguns fired from mountaintops. The Empire's ships took damage. One even fell from orbit, crashing into the ocean. People stared in shock. Where had these weapons come from? What the world didn't know was that for years, a quiet effort had been underway. Scientists, engineers, hackers, many working in secret, had been building defenses, not just for war but for survival. In California, Ava Harper sat in front of a glowing screen, her fingers flying over the keyboard. She had once designed computer systems for banks. Now she was coordinating planetary defense. On the other side of the country, Evan Porter, a young hacker with messy hair and tired eyes, broke into alien comms and sent back a simple reply: "Not today." The Empire had expected fear. They got defiance. And as smoke rose from burning cities, something else rose with it: hope. Humans weren't going down without a fight. The Zyari were not used to being hit back. Their empire had crushed dozens of species with little resistance. But Earth was different. After the first attack, they sent more ships. Big ones. Black and ugly, filled with weapons. They hovered over major cities like hammers waiting to fall. But this time, Earth was ready. Missiles launched from hidden silos deep in the mountains. Drones flew up in swarms, faster than anything the Zyari had seen. Railguns fired from space, striking enemy ships before they could react. One Zyari warship exploded in a flash of fire. Another spun out of control, crashing into the ocean. People watched in awe as footage spread online. For the first time since the invasion began, hope returned. In Colorado, Ava Harper sat in a bunker under a mountain. She wore a headset and spoke, fast into a mic. "Redirect power to satellite Delta," she said. "We need that signal up now." She had once worked on banking software. Now she was running parts of the war effort from her laptop. Nearby, soldiers moved maps and screens, tracking enemy positions. Engineers patched together old tech with new building weapons no one had tried before. On the East Coast, a teenager named Evan Porter sat in his messy room, surrounded by blinking computers. He wasn't a soldier, but he was fighting too. He had broken into the Zyari's comms network. Now he was sending messages back to them: jokes, insults, warnings. His favorite was a short clip, a man flipping off the camera followed by the words, "Not today." It played over and over in enemy channels until the Zyari shut it down. Meanwhile, in Texas, Daniel Cruz walked through a training camp set up near a small town. People from all over had joined: farmers, teachers, mechanics, ex-soldiers, anyone who wanted to fight. "We don't run," he told them. "We don't hide. We make sure they know who they're dealing with." The world was changing. No longer just countries and borders. Humanity was becoming something new, and the Zayari were starting to realize they had made a mistake. They had expected fear. What they got was fury. And as the battle raged on, it became clear Earth was not going to be just another conquered world. This was only the beginning. The Zayari were angry now. After the first two attacks, they expected Earth to break. Instead, humans fought back harder. So the aliens changed tactics. They sent more ships. Big ones, heavily armored. They hovered over cities like storms waiting to strike. But this time, the humans had a plan. In a hangar hidden under the rocky hills of New Mexico, a team worked fast. Engineers, pilots, and soldiers gathered around a line of old cargo ships. They had been refitted with plasma cannons, kinetic lances, and armor made from alien scrap. These weren't fancy warships. They were patched together from whatever humanity could build fast. But they flew, and they packed a punch. Lila Jones walked through the hangar checking every ship herself. She used to be a pilot for a small airline. Now she was one of the leaders of the newly formed Earth Defense Fleet. "We don't need to be perfect," she told her crew. "We just need to hit hard and come back." Above the planet, the Zayari fleet moved into position. Their sensors showed nothing unusual, just the usual defenses below. They didn't see the human ships hiding behind the moon. Then, without warning, the human fleet jumped into action. They came out of hiding fast, engines burning bright. Missiles shot through space. Plasma fire lit up the dark. The Zayari were surprised. They scrambled to respond, but the humans were already inside, their formation. Lila led the charge, weaving between enemy ships. Her cannon fired again and again, striking weak points in the alien armor. One Zayari cruiser exploded in a burst of fire. Another lost control, spinning into deep space. The battle was chaotic, loud, and fast. And by the time it ended, several Zayari ships were destroyed. More importantly, the humans captured one intact vessel. Back on Earth, scientists rushed to study it. Inside the alien ship, they found logs, maps, and something huge, coordinates to the Zayari homeworld. News spread fast. For the first time, humanity had a target. Not just defense, not just survival, but revenge. People talked about it everywhere. In schools, in bars, online. The idea that humans could take the fight to the enemy. And in Washington, Daniel Cruz stood before a group of leaders. "If we wait," he said, "we lose. We don't play defense, we end this." Others nodded. They were done reacting. It was time to strike first. The captured Zayari ship sat inside a hidden base on Mars. Snow dusted the red ground outside, but inside, things were heating up. Teams of scientists and engineers worked nonstop. They took apart alien tech piece by piece, weapons, shields, engines. Everything was studied, copied, improved. Among them was Dr. Maya Bennett, a quiet woman who used to study how living things worked. Now she was looking at Zayari bodies, trying to find their weak points. After weeks of testing, she found something big. The Zayari had a special kind of hearing. Loud, high-pitched sounds could hurt them. Bad. She shared her notes with Noah Ramirez, a former music teacher who had joined the war effort. Noah stared at the data for a long time. Then he smiled. "We can use sound as a weapon," he said. Back, on Earth, the idea spread fast. If they could build bombs that made the right kind of noise, they could take out Zayari troops without hurting humans. It sounded crazy, but so did everything else about this war. Meanwhile, debates raged in government halls. Should Earth stay on defense, or should they go after the Zayari homeworld? Daniel Cruz stood in front of the leaders and spoke clearly. "If we wait, they'll come back stronger. We don't hide. We don't beg. We end this." His words hit hard. People remembered his video from the start of the war. Now he was speaking for millions. Slowly, the decision came together. They would strike first. A new mission was born, Operation Final Word. Countries across the world dropped old fights and started working together. Factories ran day and night, pilots trained, soldiers drilled, hackers tested systems, even civilians helped. Coders, mechanics, doctors, all played a part. In California, Ava Harper ran comms from a command center buried under a mountain. She coordinated teams across the planet. On the East Coast. Evan Porter kept breaking into enemy networks. He fed lies to Zayari spies, making them think Earth was still scared. And in Texas, Lila Jones trained new pilots. "This isn't just about survival," she told them. "This is about showing them who we are." The fleet grew. Ships built from human hands and alien parts lined up in orbit. Soon they would leave. Soon they would carry humanity's answer across the stars. Not fear, not surrender, but fire. The human fleet left Earth with fire behind them and stars ahead. Dozens of ships built from steel, sweat, and stubbornness rose into the black. They carried soldiers, scientists, hackers, and pilots. Some had never left their hometowns before. Now they were going to war across the stars. Lila Jones sat in the cockpit of her ship, watching the planet shrink on her screen. She had flown planes over mountains and oceans. Now she flew between them. "This is real," she whispered. It would take months to reach the Zayari homeworld. The trip was long, quiet at times, tense at others. Crews trained every day. Weapons were checked again and again, but not all of the journey was spent in silence. Along the way, the fleet passed through systems where other species lived, races that had suffered under the Zayari. One such people were the Krelthi, a soft, jelly-like race that floated in water-filled ships. They had been slaves for decades. Ava Harper led talks with them. She spoke carefully, clearly. "We're not here to rule anyone," she said. "We're here to end the Zayari." The Krelthi listened. Then they helped. They gave maps, codes, and secrets no outsider had ever known. With their help, the humans changed course. They avoided enemy patrols. They found hidden paths through space. Evan Porter worked non-stop. He broke into alien networks, feeding lies back to the Zayari command. He made it look like there were more human ships than there really were. He made it seem like Earth was still scared. The Zayari believed him. When the fleet finally reached the edge of the Zayari core systems, they were undetected. Then came the hardest part. Lila led a small team in an attack on a central command post, floating near a gas giant. It was a suicide mission. They knew it going in. Her ship dove fast through enemy lines. Lasers lit up space around her. "This is for Earth," she said. Her team fired everything they had. The command post exploded in a flash of red and white. The Zayari fleet scrambled. They lost control of half their forces, and just like that, the door to their homeworld was open. As the main fleet moved forward ready to strike, one message was sent across every channel. It was short. It was simple. "We warned you. Earth had come to finish what it started, and this time, there would be no retreat." The Zayari homeworld was a living nightmare. Huge hive cities stretched across the surface, glowing with bioluminescent light. Towers pulsed like veins, feeding energy through the massive organic structures. It was unlike anything humans had ever seen. But they weren't there to admire it. The fleet dropped from orbit like fire raining from the sky. Ships dived through thick clouds, dodging enemy fire. Explosions lit up the dark as human forces made their first landings. Daniel Cruz led the ground assault. He jumped from a dropship with a rifle in his hands and fire in his eyes. "This is for every city they burned," he said over comms. Soldiers poured into the hive, fighting through alien troops. The Zayari were strong, fast, and angry, but the humans were ready. In the skies above, Ava Harper coordinated attacks from the command ship. She rerouted power to support teams on the ground, making sure no one was left behind. Noah Ramirez and Dr. Maya Bennett worked fast on the weapons they had built. Sonic towers were dropped into key locations. When activated, they sent out high-pitched waves that made Zayari soldiers scream and fall. Some dropped dead before they could fight back. Evan Porter stayed in orbit, hacking into enemy systems. He shut down defenses, opened gates, and fed false data to Zayari commanders. "They don't know what's happening," he said with a grin, "and I'm not about to tell them." Deep inside the largest hive, the final target waited, the Queen, She was massive, buried in layers of flesh and bone. Her presence controlled the entire species. Kill her, and the Empire would fall. Cruz and his team fought through wave after wave of guards. Blood covered the walls. Smoke filled the air. Finally, they reached her chamber. Her many eyes turned toward them. She didn't speak, but her thoughts filled their heads. Rage, fear, and pain. Cruz raised his weapon. "This is for Earth," he said. He fired. Explosions tore through the chamber. The Queen screamed once, then fell silent. Outside, the hive began to collapse. Without her control, Zayari soldiers stopped fighting. Some ran, others fell to their knees. The war was over. As the last shots faded, the surviving Zayari commanders tried to surrender. Daniel Cruz looked at them and said only one thing: "You should have listened the first time we said no." The war was over, but the world had changed. Earth was no longer just a planet on the edge of space. It was a power that others now feared and respected. In the months after the Zayari surrender, cities rebuilt, not just on Earth, but across the stars. Humans started new colonies. They explored worlds no one had ever seen. The United Nations became the United Terran Federation, a single government for all of humanity, on Earth and beyond. Daniel Cruz didn't want a title or a medal. He walked away from the spotlight and lived quietly in Texas. But his speeches were still played in schools. Young pilots still quoted him before their first flight. Ava Harper stayed in command. She helped build the new interstellar network, making sure Earth could talk to its farthest outposts. She became the first Minister of Interstellar Affairs, not because she wanted power, but because people trusted her. Evan Porter disappeared from public life, but online, he became a legend. Hackers called him Ghost Echo. He had broken into alien systems during the war and never stopped learning. Some said he could turn off a starship's lights with a text message. Lila Jones trained new pilots, teaching them how to fly in deep space. Her name was carved into the side of the first colony ship to reach Alpha Centauri. Noah Ramirez and Dr. Maya Bennett kept working together. They built weapons, yes, but also tools, medicine, and ways to keep humans safe in space. And then there was Mars. On a hill near the old command base, a statue stood tall. It showed Lila's old commander, the one who had died leading the strike on the Zayari command post. He held the broken antennae of a Zayari officer in one hand and a human flag in the other. People came from all over to see it. They came to remember. They came to be reminded of what happened when someone tried to take what wasn't theirs. And, as Earth grew among the stars, one thing became clear. Humans did not ask for war. But when it came, they answered, and they never backed down. Whenever another species talked about testing Earth's strength, someone always said, "Remember what happened to the Zayari," because the Empire had ordered Earth to submit. Instead, humanity set their stars ablaze.